The loudest voice in your life is not the world outside, it is the whisper within. These whispers, often ignored, often unnoticed, are shaping every decision, every step, every dream. Change them and you change everything. Today we uncover 9 silent habits so subtle they can slip past the noise, yet so powerful they can rewrite the entire story of your life forever. The first silent habit is to affirm that your worth is not limited to what you see on the surface. In moments of doubt, the inner voice must whisper, "I am more than this moment. I am more than what appears." This affirmation breaks the walls of circumstance. It reminds you that life is larger than a single success or failure. The measurable world, the job, the title, the possessions, never tells the full story of who you are. Self-talk becomes the bridge to the immeasurable, a reminder that your value exists beyond numbers, beyond recognition, beyond the fleeting opinions of others. Affirming the immeasurable is not arrogance. It is not inflating the ego, it is humility in the deepest sense. You are acknowledging that the true self cannot be boxed in by outcomes. The unseen part of you, the spirit, the vision, the capacity to dream is where real strength flows. Silent dialogue must return to this space daily. Without it, the mind clings to surface definitions. With it, the heart rests in a wider truth. This habit also shifts how you meet challenges. When the voice inside tells you that you are more than what you face, every setback softens. You stop believing that failure defines you. You begin to see each obstacle as a passing cloud, not the sky itself. Self-talk rooted in the immeasurable rewrites the story from limitation to possibility. It allows you to stand tall even when results are small. Practice it quietly. Speak inwardly. I am not confined. I am more than what can be measured. Let the words settle. In time, this affirmation builds resilience that no external storm can shake. It gives you calm authority in a noisy world. And it plants the seed of transformation, where the invisible guides the visible. The second silent habit is to separate who you are from what you achieve. The mind often clings to labels: winner, loser, rich, poor, admired, ignored. Self-talk must soften these chains. Inwardly remind yourself, I am not my titles. I am not my failures. I am the presence behind both. This is redistribution. It frees the self from being trapped in fleeting roles. When you internalize this habit, you step away from comparison. You no longer measure your worth against another's journey. Instead, you anchor in being. Your inner dialogue becomes a steady ground. I have value simply by existing. My efforts matter, yet they do not define my essence. This shift carries both spiritual elegance and practical power. It keeps you centered in moments of public success and private struggle alike. Life constantly changes. One day you may stand on a stage with applause. Another day you may face silence and rejection. If your identity is tied only to those moments, your inner world will swing wildly. The habit of redistribution steadies the voice inside. It reminds you that applause fades, rejection fades, yet your deeper self remains. This is how inner freedom is born. Silent self-talk becomes your anchor. I hold worth that no result can add or remove. With this phrase, you can walk through both victory and defeat without losing yourself. This habit shapes resilience. It creates leaders, creators, and seekers who live not from fear of loss, but from the quiet strength of inner being. The third silent habit is to prepare in unseen ways for what has not yet arrived. Inwardly affirm, I am planting seeds today for tomorrow's harvest. This inner dialogue shifts the focus from immediate results to long-term growth. It reflects the deep spiritual law of sowing and reaping. What you feed inwardly manifests outwardly in time. Rehearsing in the invisible is an act of faith. It means holding conversations with yourself that strengthen patience. When the world does not see progress, you still speak of vision. You tell yourself every small step counts. Every day adds to the whole. This habit allows you to walk through seasons of delay with calm endurance. The mind that practices this habit becomes fertile ground. Self-talk becomes a rehearsal space for courage, persistence, and clarity. Instead of rehearsing fear, imagining worst outcomes, you rehearse growth. You picture your best self speaking, leading, creating, serving. The invisible becomes a practice arena, and the spirit learns to walk in the unseen before the seen. This habit keeps hope alive. The inner voice whispers, "What I build quietly today will rise when the time is right." By holding this silent rehearsal, you are not deceiving yourself. You are training your inner world to align with the direction of your purpose. And when the moment comes, you will be ready, not by chance, but by inner preparation. The fourth silent habit is gratitude, not just for the future, but for the present and the past. Self-talk that begins with thanks changes the vibration of the mind. Quietly say, "I am thankful for where I am, for what has shaped me, for the lessons hidden in the journey." Gratitude reframes pain into wisdom and struggle into strength. Gratitude backward is not nostalgia. It is not longing for what has been. It is acceptance. It is seeing that every step, even the difficult ones, carries meaning. This inner dialogue heals bitterness and softens regret. By speaking gratitude to yourself, you free the heart from being chained to what could have been. This habit also makes space for joy. The mind often rushes forward, chasing what is not yet here. Gratitude slows it down. It creates a pause where you can breathe and recognize abundance. Saying inwardly, "I already hold enough," cultivates peace. From that peace, new possibilities emerge. Self-talk of gratitude is a spiritual law. When you acknowledge what is, you attract more of it. Gratitude multiplies. It transforms the inner voice from restless to restful, from scarcity to sufficiency. The habit is silent, but its ripple touches every action, every relationship, every choice. The fifth silent habit is responsibility in speech. In the quiet dialogue of the mind, repeat, "I choose response over reaction." This affirmation strengthens discipline over impulse. It turns self-talk into a steady hand guiding emotion. Reaction is fast, often unwise. Response is measured, thoughtful, and grounded. By rehearsing responsible self-talk, you prepare yourself for moments of pressure. Instead of feeding panic inwardly, you cultivate calm. Instead of saying "this is too much," you tell yourself, "I can meet this with clarity." This habit shapes character. Silent responsibility means you do not allow the inner voice to run wild with anger or fear. You guide it, reshape it, and choose its direction. Over time, this practice makes you dependable, not only for others, but for yourself. You become someone you can trust in your own silence. Responsibility in inner dialogue also deepens maturity. It stops you from blaming fate, people, or circumstance. The silent voice says, "I own my choices. I own my path." This ownership unlocks freedom. With it, you no longer wait passively for life to change. You speak forward, you act forward, and transformation follows. The sixth silent habit is aligning the inner voice with service. Whisper inwardly, "My gifts are meant to uplift. My life is meant to help." This self-talk reorients ambition from self-centeredness to contribution. It turns success into a path of meaning. When the inner dialogue holds service at its core, pride softens. You no longer measure only by what you gain. You measure by how much value you bring. The silent voice becomes a reminder, "I rise by helping others rise." This mindset not only builds character, it attracts trust. People are drawn to those whose hearts carry service. This habit also heals loneliness. When you align with service, you stop asking, "What do I lack?" and begin asking, "What can I give?" This simple shift changes the energy of your inner dialogue. It lifts you out of isolation and connects you to the larger flow of life. Service is a spiritual law. What you give expands. The more you silently affirm your role as a giver, the more life opens doors for you. This habit ensures that your self-talk is never narrow or selfish. Instead, it becomes a guiding light, quietly reminding you that true success is measured by the lives touched through your presence. The seventh silent habit is learning to meet the inner critic without fear. In self-talk, instead of silencing or fighting that voice, whisper gently, "I hear you and I thank you, but I am not ruled by you." This shifts the relationship. The critic is no longer an enemy but a signal. Its warnings may reveal where you doubt, where you fear, or where you must prepare more carefully. By listening without surrendering, you grow wiser. Most people let the critic dominate their inner dialogue. They allow it to dictate every move. They believe the harsh words, "You are not enough. You will fail." This drains courage and blocks creativity. The silent habit of reframing the critic is liberation. The voice can still speak, but it no longer controls the story. Instead, it becomes a teacher, pointing toward areas of growth. This approach builds resilience. When the critic whispers fear, you respond inwardly with calm authority. "Thank you for your concern. I choose courage anyway." This self-talk turns fear into fuel. It acknowledges the existence of doubt but does not give it power. In time, the critic softens, and your inner world carries more compassion. By embracing the critic, you also strengthen humility. You realize you are not perfect and you do not need to be. Silent dialogue becomes a balance of honesty and encouragement. Fear warns, wisdom guides, and the heart leads. This habit transforms self-talk from a battlefield into a classroom, one where every voice has meaning, yet only the highest voice decides the path. The eighth habit is cultivating patience in silence. In the long seasons of waiting, self-talk must whisper, "Time is working with me, not against me." This habit prevents frustration from poisoning your vision. It teaches you that growth is not instant and that unseen forces are arranging what you cannot yet see. Impatience is one of the strongest disruptors of inner peace. When results do not arrive quickly, the inner voice often turns bitter. "It will never happen. I am wasting my time." This dialogue weakens energy and blocks persistence. Patience transforms the script. It allows you to endure delay without despair, to continue moving even when progress seems hidden. Speaking patience into your mind also builds faith. You remind yourself silently, "The seed is buried, but it is alive. The roots are forming." This image protects you from giving up too soon. Every great change in life requires unseen preparation. Patience in self-talk helps you trust this invisible process. The silent habit of patience is not passive. It does not mean sitting idle. It means acting steadily, while the voice inside assures you that the timing will unfold. With this habit, you can walk through years of effort with hope intact. And when the fruit finally appears, you will know it was your silent patience that kept the dream alive. The ninth silent habit is to honor small victories. The inner voice must say, "Even this step forward matters." Too often people wait for a grand success before feeling worthy. They overlook the tiny wins, the effort to try again, the courage to speak, the choice to rise after falling. Celebrating these moments inwardly creates strength. This habit rewires the brain to notice progress. Without it, self-talk becomes harsh, always demanding more, never satisfied. With it, the voice softens. "Today I learned. Today I moved. Today I kept going." Each affirmation builds a foundation of confidence. Success is not one giant leap, but the sum of many small steps. Quiet victory is not about boasting. It is about recognition. By telling yourself that each effort matters, you train the spirit to stay motivated. Even when external applause is absent, the inner voice encourages. This makes you independent of outside validation. The habit of celebrating quiet victories also attracts gratitude and joy. It shifts the focus from what is lacking to what has been achieved. When the silent voice honors progress, it multiplies. Over time, you realize that greatness was built not in one moment, but in thousands of small victories whispered and celebrated in silence. The 10th habit is reflection. At the end of each day, take a moment to review your self-talk. Ask inwardly, "What tone did I carry today? Did my inner dialogue lift me or limit me?" This practice brings awareness to the hidden patterns that shape your life. Without reflection, the script of the mind runs unchecked. With reflection, you gain the power to rewrite it. Nightly review is not judgment, it is an observation. You do not condemn yourself for negative thoughts. You simply notice them by becoming aware. You create space for change. The inner dialogue shifts from unconscious repetition to conscious choice. This awareness is the seed of transformation. In practical terms, reviewing your self-talk helps you prepare for tomorrow. If you find that fear dominated your words today, you can choose a new affirmation for the next morning. If gratitude guided your thoughts, you can carry it forward. Reflection becomes a bridge between days, allowing growth to continue step by step. This habit also deepens peace before sleep. By emptying the mind of harsh dialogue, you rest more fully. You tell yourself, I have done my best today. I will learn and grow tomorrow. With these words, the mind softens, the body rests, and the spirit renews. The 11th habit is choosing a single phrase to guide your inner world. This becomes your mantra, your anchor. When fear arises, you repeat it silently. When doubt grows, you return to it. The phrase is simple, but its repetition gives strength. Self-talk then gains rhythm, stability, and direction. A sacred phrase might be, I am guided, or I have enough, or this too shall pass. The words matter less than the consistency. By anchoring in one phrase, you prevent the mind from scattering. Every time a negative thought appears, you replace it with your chosen anchor. Over time, the phrase carves a deep pathway of peace. This habit reflects spiritual law. Repetition shapes belief. The more you repeat a truth, the more it becomes your reality. Instead of rehearsing fear, you rehearse wisdom. The anchor phrase keeps you steady in storms and humble in triumphs. It centers your inner dialogue in timeless truth. The power of this habit is in its simplicity. No matter where you are in a crowd, in solitude, in joy, in pain, you can return to your phrase. It becomes a silent companion, always present, always steady. With it, the voice inside no longer wanders. It finds home. The 12th habit is action. Silent self-talk is powerful, but it must lead to steps in the world. When the voice inside whispers, do this or begin now, honor it. Act on the voice. Without action, inner dialogue remains a dream. With action, it becomes life. Many people hear guidance but ignore it. They wait for perfect timing, perfect conditions. Their self-talk remains hopeful but empty. The habit of acting on the voice changes everything. It creates momentum. Even small steps confirm the dialogue. I listened and I moved. This builds trust between the mind and the spirit. Acting on the voice also sharpens discernment. Not every thought deserves action. Some arise from fear, others from wisdom. By testing the voice with small steps, you learn which whispers carry truth. Over time, your inner dialogue grows clearer and your trust in it deepens. This habit bridges the invisible and the visible. It proves that silent affirmation is not a fantasy. It is preparation for reality. By acting on the voice, you bring your inner dialogue into form, and that is how transformation unfolds, quietly inside, then boldly outside. The 13th habit is to shape your self-talk as questions rather than rigid statements. Instead of saying, I am stuck, ask, what is this moment teaching me? Questions open space. They shift the energy from finality to possibility. The mind becomes curious instead of closed. The heart begins to seek answers rather than accept defeat. This habit transforms how you meet challenges. Rigid statements feed despair. They trap you in narrow thinking. Silent questions, however, awaken creativity. They invite new paths, new choices, new insights. The inner dialogue becomes a guide rather than a judge. When the voice asks, how can I grow from this? The spirit begins searching and solutions appear. Speaking in questions also builds humility. It reminds you that you do not know everything. Life is bigger than your understanding. Silent questions turn every situation into a classroom. They allow you to listen, observe, and learn. Over time, this makes you wiser, gentler, and more open to the flow of life. Practice this habit whenever negativity arises. Instead of saying, "This will never work," ask, "What step could I try next?" The tone of your inner world softens. The dialogue becomes lighter, more hopeful. A questioning mind carries resilience, while a rigid mind collapses. This is the power of transforming statements into questions. The 14th habit is learning to rest in silence when no words arise. Sometimes the mind is blank and the voice inside grows quiet. Instead of forcing dialogue, whisper to yourself, "Even in emptiness, I trust." The void is not absence, it is a sacred pause. It is the space where deeper wisdom forms. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it with noise, with distraction, with endless thought. Yet silence is fertile. It is where the roots of transformation grow. By welcoming the void, you honor the unseen process of life. You trust that clarity will return at the right time. Self-talk in this moment is not many words, but simple faith. This habit cultivates peace. When you rest in the void, anxiety loosens. You stop demanding answers immediately. Instead, you allow time to reveal what you need. The silent affirmation becomes, "I do not need to know everything today. The next step will come." This inner voice brings calm strength. The void also teaches surrender. It reminds you that you are not the sole author of your journey. There is a higher intelligence guiding the flow. By welcoming silence, you align with that wisdom. The inner dialogue shifts from restless control to gentle trust. In this way, the void becomes not emptiness but fullness waiting to emerge. The 15th habit is reframing failure. When disappointment strikes, the inner voice must whisper, "This is not the end. This is the beginning of something new." Reframing defeat transforms despair into possibility. It shifts the inner dialogue from "I lost" to "I am being redirected." Every setback carries a hidden lesson. Without reframing, self-talk becomes harsh. "I am finished. I am worthless." With reframing, it becomes hopeful. "I am being prepared. I am learning strength." The silent dialogue changes the meaning of the event. Defeat becomes a teacher instead of a prison. This habit builds resilience that few can shake. Each time you fail, you tell yourself, "I have discovered one more way not to quit." The dialogue encourages persistence. It reminds you that the road is long and that detours often lead to richer destinations. Self-talk infused with reframing keeps the flame of purpose alive. In time, this practice makes you fearless. Defeat loses its sting. Every challenge becomes a doorway. Every rejection becomes redirection. By reframing defeat as an invitation, your inner voice aligns with the truth that growth often hides in pain, and your journey moves forward with renewed courage. The 16th habit is to consciously flip negative self-talk into possibility. When the voice says, "You can't," answer inwardly, "I can learn." When it whispers, "You are weak," respond, "I am growing stronger." This habit is a reversal. It takes harmful scripts and reshapes them into hope. Reversing the narrative is not denial, it is redirection. You are not pretending difficulties don't exist. You are refusing to let them define you. By answering the negative voice with a higher truth, you retrain your mind. Slowly, the default self-talk becomes positive, supportive, and empowering. This habit is deeply practical. Each time you hear the harsh inner critic, you respond immediately. No delay, no hesitation. The reversal must be swift and consistent. Over time, the brain rewires. The harmful scripts grow weaker and the empowering ones grow stronger. Transformation begins with this steady redirection. Reversing the narrative also nurtures faith. It affirms that growth is always possible, that no matter what you face, you can learn, adapt, and evolve. The silent dialogue becomes an ally instead of an enemy. And in this reversal, the energy of your life shifts from despair to resilience, from fear to quiet power. The 17th habit is to acknowledge unseen support. In your inner dialogue, whisper, "I am open to guidance beyond myself." This is not a weakness. It is a strength born of humility. It is recognition that life is larger than your mind alone. The invisible helper may be intuition, divine wisdom, or the quiet flow of the universe. By inviting it, you align with greater intelligence. Most self-talk focuses only on personal effort. I must do everything. I must carry it all. This creates exhaustion. By shifting the inner voice to include unseen help, you find rest. You remind yourself, I am not alone in this journey. The universe is working with me. This habit lightens the burden and restores trust. Inviting the invisible also sharpens awareness. When you expect guidance, you begin to notice it. A chance encounter, a sudden idea, a quiet feeling, all become messages. The silent dialogue opens the door. It trains you to listen, to see, to follow subtle directions that lead you forward. This habit creates a partnership between the seen and the unseen. You act with effort, but you also rest in trust. The inner voice repeats, help is here even when I cannot see it. This affirmation brings calm, strength, and peace. It transforms self-talk into prayer, into alignment, into living faith.